Just when I got that damn theme song out of my head. Life is like a... Okay, we're not doing that. Copyright claim.
Uh-oh.
Man, the new season of Gravity Falls is weird. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for the 1 hour long premiere of the new Ducktales. Now, yes, we do typically do these hay car outside. Right when we started. That's what you get in the post-Geekout reaction. We're right next to the open window that has all the sounds of Brooklyn outside. But yes, typically these post-Geekout reactions are our little open, honest discussions about movies that we just watched. However, we do occasionally do them for TV shows, and you guys have been asking me for months now, do something about the new DuckTales cartoon. I'm okay with that because I freaking love DuckTales.
Oh, yeah.
We are like the target audience.
Exactly.
Because this was like, when did DuckTales originally come on? It was like 1987. It was
it was like 30 years. It was a 30-year anniversary.
Oh, it was a 30th-year anniversary?
Yeah.
Okay, so then this was on like when we were real little. Like, I might not even have seen these the first time they came on. Like, I think I caught some of these when they were like in repeats because I remember watching them in elementary school. So it had to have been early 90s then. Yeah. So, but it's like, yeah, I grew up with this. I love DuckTales. Like, out of all those like classic Disney afternoon
cartoons, yeah.
Like, out of all of them, it was easily my favorite.
I think it was the one that started the Disney afternoon
thing. It really was.
Thing.
It was the one that really started. I'm trying to think of the other ones I love. Like, Gargoyles I didn't get into until around college when it was in super late repeats. Like, when it was on, like, the Disney Toon. Like, it wasn't even Disney
like
XD.
Toon Disney, you
That
mean?
was it. Yeah, it wasn't even Disney XD back then. Toon Disney, and it came out at, like, midnight. That's when I finally saw that one. But there was also Goof Troop I enjoyed.
Yeah. Darkwing Duck.
That was the one I loved. That was the other one that I, like, lost my mind for. I love that one.
I love Bonkers because I was a big fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So.
It basically was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But DuckTales is the one that really like started. That's one that like got an entire generation of people into it. And now, even though we're adults now, we still love cartoons and geeky stuff. So we kind of been waiting for this. Like, we are like the perfect audience for it. I know that many of the people out there are also it. So we're just going to talk about this first like hour-long premiere and give you our feelings on it. And I gotta say, this definitely is different.
Yeah.
But then again, it has to be. You can't go back to the thing that you always had. Like, it's gone. Those days are over with. But
they kept the heart, I feel like.
I feel like that too, except that the original DuckTales wasn't even really a comedy. Like, there was some comedy, but it was more like slapstick, like someone fell down, and Launchpad was always funny. But it was more of just a flat-out adventure thing. The comedy was secondary. This one feels like it's comedy first, adventure secondary. It's like, you know what? I get it. It's the change in times. My only real like complaint is that like I joke about this being the new season of Gravity Falls. I said Gravity Falls, not Stranger Things, right?
Yes.
There's too many weird 80s referencing like kids shows out there these days.
And we are the target audience.
Yeah. But yeah, I made a joke about this being like the next season of Gravity Falls. It really feels like they looked at Gravity Falls and went, that with the DuckTales people. And like, so part of me is like a little bit like, yeah, you tried way too hard to kind of rip off Gravity Falls. But the other time, it's like, I get you going for the Gravity Falls vibe.
Yeah.
Because Gravity Falls, in a way, kind of is the modern day DuckTales. It's like, all right, these kids move in with their uncle, and they got the goofy handyman over there. Wow, it just hit me how close this is. Like, those first two I got, but the moment I started saying the third one, like, I didn't even plan that. I was like, oh my god, Launchpad was totally Seuss. So it's like, okay, and you got that, and they're discovering mysteries, rewriting history. The only difference is in DuckTales, they would go somewhere else.
Yeah.
This one, everything was right there in the town. It was like, yeah, so kind of, Gravity Falls really was the modern day DuckTales, except that it did what we've seen change with television over time, which all TV, unless you were the hour-long dramas, all TV was just bam, one and done. Even the hour-long dramas typically wrapped up at the end of that and go into something new. These days, people have realized the magic of television is that it's serialized. People have magic that it's continuous stories every single week, and you can build upon it. So Gravity Falls is the first one of these like kids shows that really came in here. And I was like, hey man, we can really build like a mystery. We can have changes to stuff, and we have it build into the next episode. And with this one, at the end of this hour-long premiere, they set up the mystery, and I was like, that's it. You got like, you really are like trying to do like updating DuckTales to make it more like what it should be today. But as I mentioned, Gravity Falls, okay, I can forgive you for making some of these things like Gravity Falls, because Gravity Falls made a lot of things like DuckTales, because like, okay, the fact that they don't call him Uncle Scrooge, they do call him Great Uncle Scrooge. I was like, alright.
Although that makes sense, seeing how
he is the great uncle. It's like, alright.
He is old. He is the older one.
And also, even in the old DuckTales, their Donald Duck was their uncle.
Yeah.
And Uncle Scrooge was Donald's uncle. So he was always the great uncle. They just never called him that.
Yeah, they would just call him Uncle Scrooge for short. Because
it's for short, and also, that's what the comic was. Everybody forgets, Uncle Scrooge started as a comic character. He was a character in the old comic books. And one of the things I will say that I really dig about this interpretation of DuckTales, they're leaning really heavily on the comic book rather than the old DuckTales cartoon.
Right.
I find that so interesting. In fact, even the opening credit sequence, they're going through comic book panels. I was like, this is really amazing. And like, there's a moment in which, in this first episode, where he says, I made my fortune being smarter than the smarties and tougher than the toughies. I don't think that was ever said in the old DuckTales cartoon.
Well, I don't remember.
That was from the comic. That was his catchphrase in the comic. And I'm sure it might have been said somewhere in there, but it wasn't like a thing he said all the time back then to make it memorable enough. But it was his catchphrase in the comics. And it's like, when you see like his museum that they go into at one scene here, it's like, even kind of the art style of everything they find in there kind of looks like the art style in those old comics. So like, I really gotta applaud this for really leaning into like the entire history of Uncle Scrooge, not just like the DuckTales interpretation of him. But again, then we move into the one thing that I really do have to point at, like, them now calling him Great Uncle Scrooge, I don't even think that's gonna stick. I think they'll just bring that up every now and again. I think the show is gonna call him Uncle Scrooge. The one thing that I do have to point at and go, this is way too Gravity Falls. Can you guess what I'm gonna say?
What?
Webby.
Oh.
Webby to me is like the third sibling for Dipper and Mabel, who's a complete amalgamation of both of them. Like, in the opening credits sequence, you even see at some point in this, she's gonna get a grappling hook. Like, she uses the grappling hook in that opening credits sequence, and it's like, it really feels like they would make her really like Mabel, but also make her love mysteries and history like Dipper. But the thing is, I like Webby in this.
Yeah, I do too. It's like one of my pet peeves with the original DuckTales was that Webby was just the girl.
Yeah.
She had the cute pink bow, and she was just so innocent, and it's like...
She never, like, really did anything other than had to be rescued.
Yeah, and
like,
just
I don't remember
cute.
any... Yeah. Like, she really was just there, like... And the thing is, I really don't know even why she was there in the old days, like, because I don't think back then, like, market research guys were like, well, we have to include a girl for all the girl characters, for all the girl viewers, and if they did exist back then, what would they say? And we also have to make her cool so that they like her. It's like...
No, it's like, oh, we need a girl, and girls are cute, and they like cute things, so yeah, let's make her cute,
really,
and that's it.
She's one of the, like, that was something that you would find a lot back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Webby was, like, the best example of a female character who was thrown into a show just so it could have a female character.
The token girl.
Yeah. Absolutely. Here, she's actually doing stuff.
Yes.
My only real complaint is that, like, she's doing Dipper and Mabel stuff, like, both of them at the same time. However, I'd complain way more if it didn't kind of work.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird that, like, I can totally see you're just Dipper and Mabel, but a character like that fits perfectly into this universe.
Yeah.
Like, when she reveals the entire history of the
McDuck family.
Of the McDuck family, and goes, yeah, I like to study them, it's like, that seems like a thing that will be important to this show. Someone should know it. It's kind of important that you're here. And they do also give her her own thing in that they have her being completely isolated. She is somebody who her grandma does not let her do anything.
Like, she's sheltered.
Sheltered, very sheltered. Her grandma never lets her do anything. Like, she mentions that she's never eaten a cheeseburger. And I was like, wow. That's real sheltered. And, like, the fact that she, like, instantly, the moment she meets the nephews, she's just like, are we friends now? And, like, okay, I will say, you are very Dipper and Mabel-ish, but this is uniquely you. And it fits in here, and it makes you just different enough that I can't complain about you being too much like the other characters, because it does now give you a thing to be your own unique character.
Yeah.
And as I said, the things they take from the other characters, it fits in here. So it's like, even though I have to point at them and be like, guys, you tried a little too hard to make her Dipper and Mabel, it's not bad. It's pretty good. And speaking of making a character different, the nephews themselves.
Yes.
In the old show, I remember that Huey, the one in the red shirt, he was a little bit more adventurous because he wore red. That was it. And he wasn't even by a lot. It was just a little bit more. Like, I remember him being the one who got into trouble a tad bit more. Because back in those days, if you wore red and a baseball cap, you were the one who got into trouble more. You knew exactly where I was going. But, yeah, like, that's all I remember. And I'm only really referencing, like, a few episodes in my mind when I think about that.
I've always, like, I could never, like, tell them apart personality-wise.
There was none. Like,
there was hardly any,
I'm
so it's like...
specifically going off a few episodes that I am, like, pulling out of my memory banks. It's like, I remember him being different in these ones. But there was, like, 100 episodes of this thing. I'm pulling out, like, 3-4 episodes to back up my theory on this. And so it's like, yeah, 3% of the episodes showed him being different. Aside from that, yeah. And also, if you'll notice, I'm only bringing up Huey. Dewey and Louie were totally the same character. Like, I'm sure if you go back and analyze the show, you'll remember them. You can see some differences, but it is not enough to stick in my mind.
Yeah.
Here they actually are different.
Yes, and I congratulate them for it.
Yeah, and also I really like that, as I said, Huey was the more adventurous one, the old one.
Yeah.
This one, he's like the Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally
and
a Boy Scout.
And Dewey's the adventurous one.
Dewey's the adventurous one.
And Louie's like a laid-back kind of chill guy.
He's almost like the one who's... Well, we had to figure out some way, like, it's always like, okay, these characters paying homage to this. We're paying homage to the comic with this character. This is the character who pays homage to Quack Pack.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Quack Pack fucking sucks. Here's the thing. There's so many people in my age and, like, up to 5 years younger than me who have this strong love for Quack Pack. Go back and rewatch it. Like, I remember even when I was watching that, I was like, this is when I start getting too old for cartoons. Like, there was a period of time where I just left cartoons, and it was right around the time that Quack Pack came around, I was like, this sucks. This is nothing but just, sup, dude. Sup. We're ducks. It's like,
yeah, it's like a horrible, like, basically the...
It was a bunch of adults going, what do 90s kids like?
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of 90s cartoons suffered from that.
They like to be slackers. Yeah, let's do it. Like, shit, man. All the millennials out there are like, well, yeah, but they make us all look at our phones in cartoons and stuff like that. You ain't got shit on what Gen Xers went through when adults tried to make cartoon characters about them. They were the most... you could really tell the adults hated those kids. It's like, yeah, and Quack Pack is a great example of that. But yeah, so it's like, part of me kind of looks at Louie in this and is like, yeah, you really kind of seem like you're paying too much reference to Quack Pack. But at the same time, it's not to the level that Quack Pack was.
No.
It's not, and also Quack Pack was 3 asshole ducks. This one is like, you're just kind of like, you're the dishonest one. You're the one who's like, I like that scene where they go into the garage and he is instantly just putting up his mic, I claim this, and he's like, what? He's gonna die eventually. And I was like,
he's like the smartass, basically.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's the smartass.
Yeah, but he's a likable smartass.
He's not bad.
No.
He's okay. Yeah. Like, you see him trying to help Webby in the second part of this, and it's like, okay, yeah. So he's not malicious.
No.
He's just kind of looking out for like what he wants. It's like, all right. So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with that. Also, we don't see a lot of Launchpad here, and Launchpad was my favorite in the old show. So we don't see a lot of him in here, but what we do see, I like.
Oh, yeah.
And I really like the voice actor because all the other voice actors, like, they didn't have that hard of a job to do. Like, you know, you didn't really have to match Scrooge McDuck. You just had to be Scottish. So, okay, they played up the fact that David Tennant is Scottish, and he leaned into that. So I was like, all right, he got that. The ducks themselves, nobody wanted to see 3 kids with that Donald Duck accent. But I did find it really interesting that they got 3 actors who are really, really similar sounding. Like, they don't sound exactly the same, but they sound like you hear these things like, yeah, they're brothers. I totally get that. Like, they definitely sound like people who, like, had the same parents.
Yeah, like, were the original Huey, Dewey, and Louie voiced by, like, 3 separate characters?
I don't actually know that. That's actually a good question. Because if they were, you overpaid 2 people. Like, seriously, you could have had the same guy do all their voices, and no one would have told. But Launchpad is one of those guys, he had a very unique voice, but it's kind of a voice that's hard to duplicate.
Yeah.
And this guy is not exactly the same as the old Launchpad, but it's in the same direction. Like
it's as close as you're gonna get.
It's as close as you're gonna get, but at the same time, I kind of like that it's not just a rip-off of the old one, because, like, this show is not just a rip-off of the old one. This show it is updated, so it is new and it is different. So making their voices just slightly different, it works. And also, I really like that he doesn't start off as his pilot. He starts off as his driver. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's how he started. It's like, I kind of also like, for his little like thought that Scrooge McDuck was always known for being a penny pincher. So I kind of like the idea that he just purposely hired the cheapest driver he could find, and that's why Launchpad is so bad at this. And yeah, they play up. I don't know why, but my favorite thing about this is that they just really do keep the fact that he is just a terrible driver and that he does crash every single plane he flies. Because I think they do the jokes really well. Like when he just kind of like in the middle of a sentence goes, "Oh, there's the ground." It's like, okay, that's a good little update. Like that's a good because comedic timing changes with every generation too. It's like that's a good one for this. All right, that works. So yeah, as someone who Launchpad was his favorite character, that worked. I actually really dug that. And I really dig seeing that, like, thinking of Launchpad, it makes me think about how he then, after that show was canceled, he went on to Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
Which, I always love the fact that Darkwing Duck takes place in the same Disney cinematic universe.
I heard that,
Darkwing will be in this.
Yes.
I was about to get into that. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I love that. It's like, a lot of people for years kind of like theorized, like, oh, are these connected because Launchpad was in that? And I watched an old episode of Darkwing recently where Gizmo Duck shows up and Launchpad says, "Oh yeah, we used to work for the same guy over in Duckburg." And it's like they're connected. It's the same cinematic universe.
Wait, is Darkwing Duck going to be in Ducktales, or is he going to have like his own?
He's going to be in Ducktales.
Oh, I thought he was going to have his own series.
There could be a spinoff, but no, he's going to be in Ducktales. So yeah, I kind of like that they are bringing back other things that were connected to DuckTales is what I was going to do.
It's like, speaking of which, I've like noticed some of the Easter eggs.
I want to know which ones you caught because I found a few, but they go by quick.
Yeah, but it's like basically when Dewey was hijacking the engine to Donald Duck's boat, he's like, "All right, now we're off to Cape Cruzette," and it's like, "Oh, that's where Tailspin takes place."
Wait, I didn't know that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and when Scrooge was like at the board meeting, and the vultures were like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and Spoonerville, it's like, "Oh, that's where Goof Troop takes place."
Holy cow!
So it's
like, you are catching these really well.
Yeah, so it's like, oh man, if we can like just have like the entire Disney Afternoon crew all together and like maybe have like maybe a cameo from like Baloo or something like that, I think that would be awesome.
I did notice that one of the businessmen that was talking to him, which by the way, I love the fact that in the old one, I don't even think he ran a business.
No, he was just always
rich.
Yeah.
He was just a rich guy. He didn't have to run anything. I love that in this one he actually runs a business.
Yeah.
And this starts off by showing him at a board meeting and he is just bored out of his skull.
He's bored at a board meeting.
Yeah. And one of the guys there was a tiger in a suit. And I was like, is that Shere Khan from Tailspin? Because Shere Khan and Tailspin ran a business. So that could be a real easy way that they link this up. I did not get those two. That is really blowing my mind right now. That's so cool. The one that I caught, there's a few that I caught in the opening credit sequence. Mm-hmm. But I don't think those are Easter eggs. I think that's more just like, here's things to come. But like, who was the inventor that worked for him? Gyro?
Yeah. I don't know like how you pronounce. Is it Gyro or Giro?
Giro's the sandwich. I think it was Gyro.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Gyro?
I don't know. You know, there was an inventor guy.
Yes.
And I remember, and in the opening credits, when they say laser beams, you see him with a giant robot, and it's a brief shot of him, but it was cool to go, oh, that's what he's gonna look like in this. Okay, cool. But the one that I got is when they were going through his little, his garage, which I thought that was a great joke. It's the garage. You mean garage? I know it's a cheap joke, but I dug it. But the first thing that Louis puts a Post-it note on to claim as his own, it is the head of this old robot, And I don't think that robot was in the cartoon, but it was definitely in the comics.
Yeah, like that robot head did look familiar to me.
Yeah.
And another thing I noticed is like he put a green tap on the lamp, and you remember the Ducktales movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp?
Yeah, I knew the lamp had to be something. Like after, because the lamp was the second thing, I was like, no way would the robot head, which is the first thing he touched, be a thing, and then the second thing he touches not be a thing. So I was trying to think, is that Aladdin's lamp? I was like, no, you're right. In the DuckTales movie, they get a magic lamp.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's... It's really darn cool to me that the people making this, I do stand by that. I believe that some producers came in there and were like, make this more like Gravity Falls. But it's cool to see that the people who actually worked on this are indeed DuckTales fans.
Yes.
Like, these are not people who they're not just working at this.
Right.
And like, man, I'm still being blown away by those Easter eggs. 'Cause like, damn, that really means that they were fans of just all this. But let's go into, we mentioned the voice actors for the kids, which I did not mention. Kate McCucci as Webby, she's great. But also as Mrs. Beasley, I don't know the voice actress, but I just dig what they did with Mrs. Beasley. Because we talked about how Webby was a non-existent character. Mrs. Beasley was kind of she served a role, but she was not a character you wanted to, like, no one wanted to see the adventures of Mrs. Beasley. Mrs. Beasley's whole job in the old cartoon was to go, oh, you boys, stay inside, don't go out there, boys.
Whoa, boys, don't.
Oh, crap, my pearls, oh, you boys, you're gonna get in trouble again. That was her entire role in the old one. In this one, yeah, she kind of is like that because she doesn't want Webby getting in trouble, so she keeps Webby inside all times. However, she herself, she's built like a tank.
She's a badass.
She like that moment when she hears like Scrooge McDuck like playing around in his old suit in his room, and she just burst in there like with her, kicks the door, and I was like, I kind of dig like that you took her and made her like a badass. Because
like Webby explained is like she taught her to be prepared for everything.
So if she's a thing, it's like. That's one of those things that's like I've always kind of loved whenever somebody has like a butler or a maid and they clearly had seen some shit in their time. Like clearly in their time they had been like special forces or they had been in the military or something. So it's like taking Mrs. Beasley and just making her a badass. Like I just love that idea. And also I love that like she has an attitude about her. It's like, I'm not your secretary, Duck. It's not happening. Like, I clean your house, that's what I do.
It's like when Alfred sasses a Bruce.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that. I love sassy Alfred. So I'm like, all right, you turned her into sassy Alfred. I'm like that. But in the old cartoon, they also had another butler.
Oh yeah, the dog guy. He was like
dog.
very snooty. He's like, he was Scrooge. You have a telephone call.
He was the original snooty Alfred. Yes, but there wasn't a lot of personality in him. I remember one episode he kind of got to shine, where they like went to space and their boys were kidnapped along with him, and he ended up rescuing them and getting them out. And they're like, you know what? He's actually pretty cool. We never gave him credit. And I was like, you know what? There are some dimensions to this guy. Way to go. And that was really it.
Yeah, it's like they never touched on that again.
Never seen again. So I was like, I'm kind of bummed that he's not in this, but at the same time, it's like, if you have her kind of being a badass, you don't really need anyone else.
Yeah, it's like, you gotta know, like, when too many characters and like when you have the right amount and everything.
But I would kind of be interested in seeing him kind of return. I love what they're doing with Glomgold.
Yeah.
Because Glomgold in the old one, again, didn't run a company or anything.
No, he was just
rich.
Yeah.
And he was just going after treasure. Again, he was just another treasure hunter.
He was basically like trying to like outdo Scrooge and everything, but
yeah, but also he kind of like reminded me of like the Nazis from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's like, because Scrooge McDuck in the old DuckTales, he was basically Indiana Jones going around the adventures to grab stuff. And he was basically just the evil guy, always like, oh, I'll get there before you. It was like, yeah, that's what he was. But since he is now running a company, and it's very clear, I love that what they did with his character is that it's not like, oh, he wants to be richer than Scrooge McDuck. He wants to be everything more than Scrooge McDuck. I would love it if that old butler popped up in here as his servant. And like, if it's for anybody out there who's a fan of that old character, it might seem like a betrayal of you for him to be like, oh, in this adaptation he's working for the bad guy. But it's like, it also kind of be like, Glomgold never had a servant. Glomgold never had anything in the old one. Glomgold was just the guy about him. I'm sure he had henchmen, but that's because he was a villain in the old one. In this one, he's a villain, but he's a villain who runs a business, and he's just trying to rip off Scrooge McDuck at every turn. So I could see him trying to have like his own house person there, who's like just a ripoff of Mrs. Beakley.
So I'd like to see that butler like being really sassy with him. Is like, you do realize he's blah blah blah. Scrooge McDuck already has all this.
Kind of like the computer for Plankton. And
yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I can see that. All right, yeah. That could also be a way for all the people who are fans of the old version of him to kind of still be like, well, they kind of save face with him because he is just telling Glomgold he's a total dick. But I gotta say, Glomgold, I think he's voiced by Craig Ferguson. We didn't actually look it up, but we saw Craig Ferguson's name in the credits. And I was like, oh, that's weird that they got another Scottish actor in here aside from David Tennant. Wait. And I'm like, oh, if I read that correctly, that would actually be perfect casting to have him in here as Glomgold.
Yeah, let's have the Scottish guys voice Scottish characters. Like,
yeah, because the old Scrooge McDuck, I love his Scottish accent, but he wasn't Scottish. It was a cartoon Scottish accent. And don't get me wrong, these are cartoon Scottish accents, but they're done by Scottish guys. So it'd be kind of like if me as an American guy did like a cowboy accent. It's like, you can accept it. It's fine. But yeah, I love that he like is running a business and he is just like openly in his like employee introduction video is just like, we just steal everything here. But he doesn't actually say that. He openly shows him stealing stuff and then still acts like it's his idea. It's like, that perfectly sums up who the villain of Scrooge McDuck should be. And I love that, because in the old one, like, he was also Scottish, and he was, like, even more Scottish, but it was never, like, a thing. Like, it was never even, like, it was more just like, okay, they're two Scottish guys. And I think in the comic, it was explained that they like, grew up together or something. That's why he's also Scottish. But whereas Scrooge McDuck just had a Scottish accent, Glomgold, he had the little, like, Scottish golfer beanie, he had a kilt on, he had the giant Scottish beard, and I love that in this interpretation, it's kind of hinted that the only reason he acts that Scottish is so he can, again, one-up Scrooge McDuck in some way.
It's like, he calls himself a Scotsman, I have a kilt, a kilt!
I dug that, that was a good joke. So I think he was really good, and also we get to really talk about David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck. Again, I really think that, just like with Launchpad, I think they struck a good balance here.
Yeah.
Where it's not him trying to be the old guy.
Right.
But it's him clearly being influenced by the old guy. It's clearly like, this is who Scrooge McDuck has always been in everyone's mind. This is how, even when someone aside from that old guy did the voice of Scrooge McDuck, they try to just copy that guy. This is where they're like, you're not going to be the old guy. But this is all we've seen of him, so this is what your pattern is. This is what, like, the blueprint is, but now do your own thing with it. I think that he did it pretty darn well.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I think that, like, I really dig that in the opening of this, they really do also capture, like, he's kind of, like, not a miser, but he is just, like, that guy who's, like, he's just tired of everyone else.
Yeah.
But it's because he's been away from adventure. Like, adventure was what he loved. And I think that they really did a great job of having, like, the kids inspiring him to go out there and be adventurous again. Like, I kind of think that David Tennant really captured, like, the angry loner Scrooge McDuck, and also that one was like, you know what, I got that spirit back. I got it back in me. So yeah, David Tennant, I think he did it really well. And I really enjoy, this is going to be weird, but I really enjoy all the old jokes they made. Because, like, they never really did that in the old cartoon, unless it was, like, the very special episode. Oh, is Scrooge McDuck getting too old? Because I think there was, like, one special episode where they were like, oh, is Scrooge getting too old? Is he going to have to stop
wasn't
doing
there,
this?
like, an episode where they tried to find the Fountain of Youth?
I think so. That was it. That's what I'm thinking of. It's like, yeah, it tied into the story some way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was that one where they did. But in this one, I love that the kids are just like, yeah, man, you're old. That's just the way things are. And, like, Scrooge McDuck was the original cool old guy. So I love that they kind of are, like, bringing that back in this, but, like, it's not like a thing where they're gonna have to stop and focus on for an episode. It's just part of the show. Like, it's just like, yeah, man, the kids are gonna point out how old he is, but there's a purpose for that because it leads into them going, like, you used to be a big deal. What happened to you? And, like, he has kind of like, he's like, what did happen to me? I used to be an adventurer. I used to go out and do all this amazing stuff. And one of the things that I think they made a cool change to in this is that at the end of this, when he gets the jewel of Atlantis, he brings it back and goes, this could power Duckburg through McDuck water and electric for 50 years. And it's like, he's using the stuff he gets for his company, going back and like, yeah, he's not just a rich guy who goes on adventures to become even richer. He tries to run this company. It's like, that's pretty darn cool. Kind of dig that. Let's see, is there anything else to really like point out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we really talked a lot about this. We really talked a lot about a cartoon about a bunch of kids, about a bunch of duck people. Oh yeah, we should. What do you think of the new art style that they have for this?
I like it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, didn't they do, like, I never watched any of these, but didn't they do, like, an updated, like, Mickey Mouse thing?
Yeah, like, that's basically the style they are kind of going for.
It looks not as
over-stylized.
Yeah, that's a good way of going with it. Like,
but stylized enough to make it noticeable compared to the original.
Yeah, I think it really works, and especially, like, with the designs, like, I like that they stuck to the classic design pattern of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, that is what people have always said for designing characters. Because, like, you look at the triplets, none of them are overly complex. They didn't do anything to make them really unique. They're still red, blue, and green, but the blue one now has a long sleeve shirt on underneath his t-shirt. The green one, it's a green hoodie. The red one has a red baseball cap.
Yeah.
That's it.
Meanwhile, in the original one, they all wore the same thing, just different clothes.
Yeah, they also had baseball caps.
Yes,
okay, yeah.
they did.
It was literally just the same, just with different colors. But also Webby. I actually really dig the design of Webby.
I did too.
Yeah, and we mentioned Mrs. Beakley. I dig that they have turned her into a tank. Like, I dig that she is she's like Zarya. She is a giant upside down triangle of her. It's like, that's really cool.
Only instead of carrying a giant gun, she carries around a vacuum.
They both have gravitational powers. Coming up next, the post Geekout reaction for Overwatch. Oh god damn it, if there's only an Overwatch movie. Just give me some freaking story. Their story, I'm over exaggerating. But anything else that we really want to point out? I like that Glob Gold, they really made him like short and stocky. Scrooge McDuck is really the only one who is like not like changed that much.
Yeah.
He looks very similar, but it's like, alright, I get it, he's the main guy. I don't know why, but to me one of my favorite updates is just Launchpad wearing a baseball cap. Like, it's a very small change, but it does make him more just like, he's just a regular guy. Like, he would not be walking around like in full pilot gear at all the time, because like, yeah, like, Scrooge didn't even know he was a pilot throughout the majority of this. I do want to see more from Launchpad, though. I think that in the second episode, he gets bit by a snake like almost immediately, and then just throughout all of it. And the first one, he really only gets like one moment of time. I was like, I like everything I see from Launchpad, which makes me so happy since he was my favorite character from the old one. I really wanted to see more of him in the next couple episodes. But yeah, I really want to know like what is going to come from this show, because that's it. Like, I hate that we now gotta wait till September. Like, I don't know why TV shows do this, where they're like, here it is, it's the big premiere. It's gonna be a month till you get anything else from this. It drives me nuts that they do that. But yeah, because in that opening credit sequence, I was looking for stuff from the old show. And there isn't really anything, they're mostly just fighting monsters, but you do see the Beagle Boys in there. So it's like, alright, there's that. Where's the witch? What was her name? Yeah, there was the witch that he always fought.
Oh shoot, what was her name?
Oh man, she was like my favorite of his villains too. I cannot remember it, but yeah, I do want to know what her update is gonna be, because I like the update that we got on the Beagle Boys. Like, they go by quick, but I was like, that actually, like, again, looks like the old one, just slightly updated in style. I got it. So yeah, I want to know what they're gonna do with her, because she was a really simple design. So it was like, you gotta add something to her. Like, she was just, had black hair and wore a black dress. That was it. Like, nothing even fancy to it. But I'm trying to remember, like, what were some of the other villains from the old show? Or, like, what were some of the other, like, because they didn't have a lot of recurring villains on that show. A lot of it was just, like, we went to an island full of dinosaurs today. That was it. So, I'm intrigued to see, like, are they gonna pull like old plots back from the old one?
Or maybe they're gonna like use bad guys that were from the comic instead of.
That was the next thing, because it's like, it's so clear that they got inspired by a lot from the original comics. Are you gonna pull a lot of plot stuff from the original comics? Because granted, I haven't read many of those old comics, but I don't know how many villains he had from that. I think most of the villains he had from that, it was the Beagle Boys, it was the Witch, it was Glomgold. So I don't know if there were any other ones. But like when the peg hook guy, the ghost pirate shows up, all I could think was, was he in the comics somewhere? Because he wasn't. I don't remember him from the old cartoons, but I was like, after you see like those Easter eggs that come before it, I would not be shocked if they did start pulling some stuff like that. But yeah, this to me is one of those like perfect examples of how to take something from the 80s and update it to be a modern interpretation of it. Because yes, I do feel like it's a tad too much Gravity Falls-ish, but Gravity Falls is the current thing. Like, there's a lot of things out there that are very Gravity Falls-y. So I'm like, you know what? They actually did a decent job with it. I think it's good. And as I said, my favorite thing is the updates that they did to it. Because I mentioned how bad Quack Pack was, and one of the reasons Quack Pack was so bad is because that's how you do an update poorly.
Yes.
That's what happens when you go, let's take these characters and let's get a bunch of people who don't understand how to make cartoons but have looked at a lot of charts that say what the kids are into and just base it all on that. This was not people doing that. This was not that. This was a bunch of people who went, let's see what works in cartoons today and let's update it from the old stuff. Like you're going to have the storyline that builds with every single episode. That's stuff that works. You're going to have the mystery in there of who their parents were. That's stuff that works these days. The design, simple, because simple will always work, but the simplicity tweaked just slightly so that it does match like clothes for the day and things like that. It's all working, and that's what gets me excited about seeing what else they're going to update when they bring in these other characters, and it makes me really excited for when Darkwing Duck eventually pops up, because you know you're going to get like his whole roster of villains are going to pop up, and they're all going to be updated too in some way. And the voice actor who played Darkwing Duck is still alive.
Yes, so.
And he's still working. Bring that dude in. That dude will never get old.
Jim Cummings.
Yes, thank you. I knew you know. I was like, he's Winnie the Pooh. He's Cat Dog. Like I can fill off his resume, but I can't remember his name. Jim Cummings. Yeah, that dude would totally. Like I really just want to see him come back. Or if you could get like Matt Smith or like another doctor to come in at some point and just play anybody, like. Because that was the thing, when Craig Ferguson pops up as Glomgold, I was just like, these people know what they're doing. They're getting other Scottish people in here. This really feels to me like one of those shows where the people making it are, and also when you mentioned like the references, those Easter eggs, the old stuff, this really feels like, it reminds me of when I watched, not Batman Beyond, Brave and the Bold. Batman Brave and the Bold, because there's so many Easter eggs that they did with the voice actors in that show. Like, not even things that you would see in the actual show itself, but so many Easter eggs with the voice actors. Like, I remember the guy who played the Flash in the old 90s TV show came on to be Reverse Flash. I remember they got Tom Kenny to be Plastic Man in there because Tom Kenny did a demo he did an audition for a Plastic Man canceled cartoon series. So it was like, all the people who were in the voice casting sector of that were geniuses. They knew exactly what they were doing. This really strikes me as like that level of integrity going into the making of this show. So I really do want to see what they're going to do with this. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of this. Also, you can always reach us on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. And yeah, man, if you guys want to see us talk about more TV shows, let us know. We're going to do one of these in probably just a couple hours for Voltron Season 2.
Season 3.
Thank you. Season 2.5, in all honesty.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was a complete season. But yeah, let us know all that and more in the comments down below. Thank you guys very much. Come back next time.
Bye.